Hello everyone, I'm the Sports Wiz 101 and today I'll be giving you my predictions for week 2 of the NFL season. So we'll predict all of these games set to take place in week 2. Coming off a week where I went 12-4. Pretty solid week overall. Missed out on a couple upsets here and there, but solid week. We'll see if we can do better here in week 2. We start with the Thursday night game, Bills and Dolphins. These two teams among the favorites in the AFC East. Buffalo, they're coming off a 34-28 victory over the Cardinals in Buffalo. The Dolphins, meanwhile, also coming off a one-score victory. That one over the Jaguars on a last-second Jason Sanders field goal. Me personally, I'm going to take the Dolphins. I think that Josh Allen can only play Superman for so long, and Josh Allen playing Superman was, I feel like, the main reason the Bills were able to beat the Cardinals. And other than that, I also am not ready to bet against a Dolphins team that has proven to be elite in the month of September. I mean, what's the record at this point? 9-1 in September ever since they hired Mike McDaniel. Yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins to win that crucial AFC East battle. And speaking of the AFC East, another team, the New York Jets, they've got a trip to Nashville coming up. The Jets coming off of a disappointing Monday night loss to the 49ers. And now, for the second week in a row, they hit the road. This time to take on the Titans, also 0-1 after their offense kind of faltered down the stretch against Chicago. They did not give up any offensive scores, and they still lost. They give up the pick six. They give up the punt block for a touchdown. And I get the feeling that the Jets could do something similar. I feel like the Jets could feed off of Tennessee offensive mistakes. So I'm going to take the Jets to go to Nashville, beat the Titans. Moving on, Cleveland and Jacksonville. Look, one of these teams at least looked pretty decent last week, and that was the Jaguars. The other team is Cleveland. The offense sucked. Let's just put it that way. Cleveland's offense sucked. If it weren't for Carolina and the Giants, Cleveland might have been the worst team in the NFL in week 1. They take on a bit of a weaker defense, I would say, in the Jacksonville Jaguars. So maybe Cleveland wakes up here, but I do get the feeling that Jacksonville wins. I think that Cleveland, their offense will have another not so good day. Jacksonville will win. They've at least proven to be competent at moving the football. I'm taking Jacksonville. Next up is what I'm picking as the lock of the week. I'm taking the Ravens to beat the Raiders. Well, I mean, let's get this out of the way. The Raiders, they tend to struggle on the East Coast. Now, aside from that, this is a Raiders team that struggled to move the ball against the Chargers week 1, especially through the passing game. Meanwhile, this is a Ravens team that they'll be disappointed that they weren't able to come away with the victory over my Chiefs, but it's also a Ravens team that is going to be super motivated to get back in the win column, I feel. And if last week is any indication, Lamar Jackson is currently at his best. So yeah, I don't think the Raiders stand a chance in Baltimore this week. Steelers and Broncos set to go at it in Denver. as Russell Wilson, his Steelers make the trip to Denver. Wilson's first game against the Steelers since being let go by the Broncos. And I think the Steelers' defense will be too much for Denver to handle in the Mile High City. Give me Pittsburgh. Elsewhere, my Chiefs get the Bengals in one of the bigger rivalries in the AFC over the past few years. Cincinnati coming off of a shocking, disappointing loss in Week 1 at home against the Patriots. And that just adds another chapter to the history of Cincinnati struggling early on in the season. That being said, I gotta think the Bengals will be at least a little more motivated this week than they were last week against the seemingly lowly Patriots. I mean, going from a team that most people figured was going to be one of the worst in the NFL to the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, yeah, there's going to be a lot more motivation going into the second game than the first. But I don't think the struggles are over for Cincinnati. I think Kansas City wins as, once again, Cincinnati struggles early on in the season. Moving on, AFC, NFC battles. It's the Colts and the Packers going at it at Lambeau Field. No Jordan Love. He suffers an MCL sprain in the loss to the Eagles. So no Jordan Love. It sounds like it's going to be Malik Willis, who is the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Now, Malik Willis, he's not the kind of guy you want to have put the entire game on his shoulders. You're going to want a solid run game to back him up in order for your offense to do much of anything. Luckily for the Packers, they're taking on a Colts team that gave up 150 yards on the ground to Joe Mixon last Sunday. Now, if only the Packers had a running back the quality of Joe Mixon. Wait, I think they do. His name is Josh Jacobs. You know, the guy that led the NFL in rushing a couple of years ago. And so, as weird as it is for me to say this, I'm taking this as my upset of the week with the Packers beating the Colts, despite the Packers not having any Jordan Love. So yeah, I'm taking Green Bay. Chargers and Panthers going at it in Charlotte. Chargers had to make that cross-country trip, but I think they win. Based on what we saw last week, I gotta feel like this is going to be a dominant showcase for the Chargers, and especially for the Chargers' run game. I like LA to beat the Charlotte, Carolina Panthers. Seattle, New England. This game became a lot more interesting to me after New England managed to pull off the upset in Cincinnati. Now they come home. They get the Seahawks. And I think both defenses here could be pretty solid. I mean, some of that might just be that the New England offense, I still don't think the Patriots are good on offense. But that might not matter that much. I really went back and forth on this one. Ultimately, I'm taking the team I think have the better offense. They got the better skill position players. Maybe even the better quarterback. Give me the Seahawks. Elsewhere, we got the Bears. We got the Texans. That'll be Sunday Night Football as Caleb Williams gets his first primetime showcase with the Chicago Bears. But based on how his first game went, I don't see his second game going that well. I like the Texans. they will prove here that they are a legitimate contender in the AFC. Chicago, they're really going to have to find a way to get Caleb Williams. They're going to have to find a way to get his game going. Give me Houston. NFC battles, we got the 49ers taking on the Vikings in Minneapolis. Sounds like there might not be any Christian McCaffrey this coming week. That being said, I still think the 49ers win. I think the 49ers defense a step up from the Giants defense. Plus, you gotta note the fact that the Vikings are actually playing a decent quarterback this week. They don't play Daniel Jones every week of the season, believe it or not. They get Brock Purdy this week. An actual decent, competent quarterback. And they get this 49er offense. I got a feeling that the 49er defense might make Sam Darnold see some ghosts again. I like San Francisco. Saints and Cowboys, a battle of 1-0 teams that dominated in their Week 1 matchup. I just feel like the Cowboys are more real than the Saints at this point. Maybe it's just that I feel more confident in Dallas than I do in Carolina. I feel more confident in Cleveland than I do in Carolina, But yeah, I do believe Dallas is the better team. They're at home. Their offense will explode. Give me the Cowboys. Giants and Commanders, two of the weaker teams in the NFC. And two of the two teams I expect to finish last in the NFC East. Here I like Washington because at this point I believe they have the better offense. I believe that they will have a much better day against the Giants. The defense for Washington might actually look competent against the Giants, unlike last week against Tampa. Yeah, I like the Commanders in that one. Then we have, speaking of those Buccaneers, they go to Detroit this week. And I feel like they take a step back to earth as Detroit shows them what a legitimate playoff team looks like. Give me the Lions at Ford Field. Rams and Cardinals set to go at it in the desert. Arizona surprisingly close against the Bills this past week. Rams are going to be short Puka Nacua. So no Puka for the Rams. I don't think that's a problem. I still think the Rams offense will be able to come up with plenty against a weak Cardinal defense. And then finally, the Monday night matchup sees the Atlanta Falcons travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Okay, before I pick this game, quick question. Why do the schedule makers keep making Kirk Cousins go to Philadelphia early on in the season in a primetime showcase? I mean, come on, this is at least the third year in a row it's happened. Now, that being said, I do think the Falcons, they look more like the Falcons we've been expecting this week. Maybe that's partly because the Eagles, as talented as they are, I don't really think of any of their players on defense as a real game changer, unlike Pittsburgh's TJ Watt. But nonetheless, I still think Philly, they should be able to get enough going on offense to secure the victory. But there you go. There's my predictions for Week 2 of the NFL season. If you like this, please like and subscribe for more to come in the following weeks. I've been SportsWiz 101, and I will see you all later.